Yeah, I think the first time, I realized that the D-backs were going to be a really good team for a long time was in 2023. I think I came here maybe in early on in the season, threw the ball well. Then they came to it was still when I was still in Milwaukee in August, and they knocked me around pretty well. And I was like, well, that's that's a different baseball team that I played early on.
To begin, I'd like to introduce our guests from left to right on the dais. Arizona Diamondbacks managing partner Ken Kendrick, Arizona Diamondbacks Executive Vice President and General Manager Mike Hazen, newly minted D-backs right-handed pitcher Corbin Burnes, and Corbin Burnes attorney Scott Boras. We'd also like to recognize with us in the front row here D-backs President, CEO, and General Partner Derek Hall, Team Manager Tori Lavello, Special Assistant to the President and CEO Luis Gonzalez, and Executive Vice President, Business Operations, and Chief Revenue Officer Colin Maxey. As well as Corbin's family, who are with us here in the front, his wife Brooke, children Carter, Charlotte, and Harper, his parents Rick and Candy, as well as his father-in-law Tim with his girlfriend Wendy. Thank you for being with us today. And now we'd like to open up with the opening statements. We'll start with D-backs General Managing Partner Ken Kendrick.
Oh, surprise. We thought it was going to be Mike.
Sorry.
That's perfectly all right. I know what I want to say. It's going to be brief. As many of you who have followed the Diamondbacks over the years know that on rare occasions, I have something I say to all Diamondback fans. And today is one of those rare days when I get to say it's a great day to be a D-back. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, to follow up on Ken's statement, we are, it's not every day that you have the opportunity to sign a player of Corbin's caliber to add to a team that we feel over the last couple of years has grown into one of the better teams in the National League. So as we've stated from the outset, we are looking to push forward to put the best team possible from next year and beyond. And there's no better way to do that than to add a number one starting pitcher to the top of your rotation. We know that's what wins in the postseason. We know that's what gets you to the postseason, and we're looking to build on the recent success that we've had as a team, adding to our young core of players on the position side as well as in the rotation. So we're very fortunate that Ken and Derek gave us the opportunity to go out and sign somebody like Corbin. And we don't take that responsibility lightly. And now it's on us to build the rest of the team to put us in a position to make a run in the postseason.
With that, I'll intro in Corbin Burnes' attorney, Scott Boras.
I think this is a classic example of a player, Corbin and Brooke, really putting their family first. You always have the good fortune, you hope, to be competitive and also take care of the needs of your family and to do it at home. And I'm very grateful to Ken, who took a phone call and then took 10 other phone calls and really did something, I think, that had a lot to do with not only his baseball team, but his community, and understood what Corbin and Brooke's goals were. And I'm very pleased because when you have twins and you have a 3-year-old and you watch, and you always remember as a parent what a family has to go through at those ages. I'm so happy they get to stay at home and do it. So Ken and Derek and everyone in the new organization, thank you.
And now to the man of the hour, Corbin Burnes, with his opening remarks.
I'll be brief. I just want to thank Ken, Derek, Mike, rest of the front office, and the ownership group just for this opportunity. Like Scott said, kind of the family aspect of this was huge for us. And when we heard that this was going to be an opportunity, we had to jump at it, and we're grateful that we got done. Thank you for everyone for being here today, family, Brooke and the kids. Obviously, it's been a long ride with the twins being born last year in June, traveling back and forth. This was something we've been dreaming about. So I'm glad that we could do this and what's best for us. So thank you guys, and hopefully we get to enjoy the day.
Awesome. With that, we'd like to go ahead and officially introduce Corbin Burnes of the Arizona Diamondbacks with the official presentation of his jersey.
Here, I'll take a picture of it like this first.
Hey, Corbin, David Brandt from the Associated Press. So when you're going through the free agent process, I'm sure you know the teams that usually have deep pockets and stuff like that. So when it came back to you that the Arizona Diamondbacks are interested, was that a surprise to you? And just, what about, obviously the family situation, but what about this made it the right decision for you?
Yeah, I mean, me being the first time going through free agency, I had to rely on Scott a lot with the info that we were getting and teams that were interested. But when we heard that this could be an opportunity, I think we got really excited. That's something that we've always dream about. Like, what happens if the Diamondbacks call? Like, you'll be like, well, we were going to have to take it. So we were fortunate that they were interested, and from talking to Scott, it sounds like it came together pretty quickly. So for us, that showed just how much they wanted us to be here, and how much we wanted to be a part of the D-backs. So it was just kind of a match made in heaven.
Hey, Corbin. When you faced these Diamondbacks in the playoffs a couple of years ago, you knew you were going to be a free agent a year. Did that thought ever cross your mind, like, hey, that'd be a pretty cool place to play in that team? You saw how good it was becoming?
Yeah, I think the first time, I realized that the D-backs were going to be a really good team for a long time was in 2023. I think I came here maybe early on in the season, threw the ball well. Then they came it was still when I was still in Milwaukee in August, and they knocked me around pretty well. And I was like, well, that's a different baseball team that I played early on. And then in the postseason, same thing, knocked me around. Eventually, obviously, went on to play in the World Series. But I remember telling people they're playing a different style of baseball, and I think we're starting to see that more and more around the league. But to me, the Diamondbacks were the first team to do that. They've drafted, they've developed well. To play that style of game, so I'm happy to be a part of it and to join a rotation that was already really good, and I think we've got the pieces to be a really good postseason team.
Thank you.
Man, welcome to town.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to watch you pitch. I'm Greg Moore, Arizona Republic sports columnist, and forgive me if I'm missing something. You said that if Arizona calls, you got to take that call. Why?
I mean, for us, the family aspect of it, living here, Scott touched on a little bit. Being able to be at home year round, just kind of where we're at in our life with twins being born in June, son's getting ready to turn 3, just kind of this stage of life we're in, to be able to spend the most time with them that I can was crucial. Getting to wake up and take my son to school here in a couple years is a lot better than having to FaceTime him in the morning saying have a good day at school. So for me, that was a big piece of it, but just the Diamondbacks wanting to be a part of this team, I think was the most important thing. And like I said, we had talked about this, that if it came up, it was a dream scenario, and it just so happened to come up.
Hey, Corbin, welcome to the Valley, or I guess you've already been here, but welcome to the team, to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jordan Spurgeon, Sports 360 AZ. So being a part of this team now, or once you started realizing it was going to be a reality, what was going through your mind, not just with the family aspect, being able to stay there and help your kids get to school, but baseball-wise for you, like what excites you about being a Diamondback?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, when I realized in 23 that this team was something special, this is a team that's built to win baseball games and to win in the postseason. They showed that in 23. Obviously, had another great year last year. Got beat out with the tiebreaker deal for the postseason. But this is a really good baseball team, young baseball team. So it's got many years of winning ahead of them. So that was part of the reason of looking at the Diamondbacks and some other teams was I've said it before. I want to come in. I want to win. I want to win the entire time I'm here. And this is a team that's built to that. And like Ken said, this is we're starting this thing. And Mike mentioned that we're going to continue to build and we're going to win a lot of baseball games. So that's the plan. And that was part of the reason why I came here, as well as the family aspect of it. Was this is a good baseball team. Torrey's very excited about this team. I've had conversations with him of just the excitement around this team and around the last couple of years. And this is a team that's going to win a lot of baseball games for years to come.
Doug Franz Unplugged Podcast. Two questions, one for Mike and one for you, Corbin. Mike, what is the 2025 starting rotation? And Corbin, will you tell us the story about moving here? Was it soon after you got drafted? Was it a couple years once you were established as a Brewer? And I guess you wanted to live close to Maryvale, but what was your decision in moving to town?
I'll let Corbin answer his question. My answer to you is we still have a long way to go in the off season. We have a number of starting pitchers on our team. Corbin's going to be in the rotation, and that's really all that matters right now. We'll deal with the rest of it as we get there.
Yeah, Brooke and I moved out here in 2018, right before the new year 19. So we've been out here for, going on 6-7 years now. So for us, this was it made the most sense. Obviously, being with Milwaukee at the time, spring training was out here. We didn't want to have to continue to keep moving around multiple times a year. So we settled on coming out here, and we've loved it ever since. We've lived all over Phoenix in the time we've been out here. So west side of town, the east side of town, it doesn't really matter for us. We love being out here. We love all parts of the city, so we're glad to continue to be a part of this community and to continue to give back. I know that's something that I had a phone call with Ken, and we talked a lot about was the community aspect of it and giving back and the charity involvement. So we are excited to explore that more and continue to get involved in the community.
Hey, Corbin, welcome to the Valley. Welcome to the Diamondbacks, I should say. I'm Robbie Baker with Fox 10. Just for you, what stood out to you the most when you looked at this starting rotation and what you could add to it? And Mike, for you, you touched on it in your opening remarks, but adding a bona fide ace like Corbin, what does that do in terms of roster construction for you?
Yeah, I think looking at the group that's here, you got a group of guys that have established themselves in the big leagues. Obviously, you got Zach, you got Merrill, Eduardo, and then some of the young guys that are coming up. It's a promising young group. I'll let Mike speak on the depth of pitching, but I think everyone knows that you got to have more than just 5 starters to get through a season. So being a part of this group, being able to help some of the young guys to continue to evolve as pitchers and to develop as really good major league starters is what I'm glad to help out as well. So just a good group to be a part of. Like I said, good mix, and happy to be a part of it.
Craig Foley, ABC 15. For Ken and Mike, what does it say to the fans, Ken, that you guys have stepped up to the plate and spent the money and got one of the best pitchers in free agency? What does it say to fans for both of you?
Well, I hope it sends a message that we're in it to win it. And when you bring a talent like Corbin to the table, I think it underscores that desire on the part of our leadership. We're in a very competitive division. I think all would agree. But I think our fans need to understand that we're very committed to being successful. We've had some recent success. I think we have the potential to be a championship team. And I think every fan in every city, and this one in particular, covets that possibility, wishes for that, hopes for that. And I think our job is to try to do everything we can to put the best team on the field that is possible that we can afford. And we are stretching the budget. We have done that. It won't be the last time that we ever do it. But, my view of investing money is you invest it when there is an opportunity to get a return. And we're making a significant investment in a great young player. And I'm hoping for our fans and for me personally, I'm kind of aging out on this. I'd kind of like to have some additional success before I go off into the sunset. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I feel like our job is to put the team in a position where Ken and Derek feel that investment is warranted. Hopefully, and in this case, and in future cases, aggressive investment, because they believe in the team that's on the field and the infrastructure underneath that, Torrey and the coaching staff, as well as what's in our minor league system coming up, which we all know, Corbin touched on, like you're not getting through a season without, forget about 26 players anymore. And that can really hurt you over the course of the season if you don't have the ability to supplement when guys go down or whatever may happen. So I feel like it's our responsibility to put the team in a position to do that, and Ken has always done this. Every single time we've been in this position, every time we've been at the deadline, he has aggressively told me to buy, and every time we've been in a position like this to acquire somebody of Corbin's talent, has wanted to get involved as well.
Ken, back here in the corner. I'm wondering, can you take us through just how this all came together from your perspective? And how also did it compare to DeGrinke signing 9 years ago, just in terms of how the deal kind of coagulated?
That was that for me. I didn't understand. Pardon me. As age is catching up with me, my hearing isn't the best. So,
Sure.
Do you mind
I'll go again. Sorry, I'll get a little
speaking
closer.
up a little bit?
Could you take us through how this deal came together from your perspective and your involvement, and how did it compare to putting the DeGrinke deal together 9 years ago?
Well, they were both, I guess, in the view of media. I think the phrase that was used recently was a stealth transaction, where we weren't anticipated to be in the sweepstakes for a top player, and at the end of the day, we were. They were different circumstances, to be fair. We were delighted to have Zach be a Diamondback, and I think it was a good deal for both sides. The circumstances here, and I think credit should go to both Corbin and to Scott. We have a young man here who values family. It's clear that he wanted to be a D-back. Our partnership is built around him working with us to become a D-back. And that's, I think, an important element in all of this. And we're appreciative of them working with us. Of course, he's a top talent. There were a lot of options for him in other places. And there may very well have been better economics. But he chose to be, and we're delighted that he did, chose to be a D-back, and we're delighted that he did. And he will do very well financially by this contract, and hopefully we'll do very, very well on the field with him as a part of the starting rotation.
Hey, Scott. Just can you take us through how this came about for you when you decided to reach out to Ken, or kind of how that all went down?
You know, we have a lot of data, and we see this team in many forms. And Torrey has brought a real tide of young players to the major leagues successfully. And you've got some extraordinary talents here. You know, Cattell, as we all know, is, I think all of us in baseball think even more of him than the national audience knows, because he's a brilliant talent. And and then, of course, when you have a number one pitcher that can win for you in the postseason, you know, like Zach. And I must say, Ken, when I called Zach to tell him that he was joining Corbin, I probably have never heard him more excited. And that, to me, tells you about what that locker room's going to be like and what influence that's going to have. Because when you have two true number one starters, you can go back and look in history, the Red Sox in 18, or go down the list of teams that have those. They change the format of playoff mentality. You know, really having number ones really give, I think, a synergy to a team where you just don't have losing streaks. You have so many things about the game that potentiate your success, and also make, for everyone on the team, it makes it so much easier to play, because you know that you have a talent out there that can win for you almost every outing, and you have a couple of them that reach that measure. So it's in Ken's and I's discussion, I credit Ken, because I think he realized the timing for this team and the addition of Corbin and the impact it can have. And I must say, after Corbin agreed, I've heard it from so many other teams that Arizona is now a subject of concern, a real subject of concern, in what teams are worried about that hope to have playoff aspirations.
Hi, Jack Summers from Diamondbacks on SI. My question is for Corbin. Welcome to the team, of course. I would like to know, you've been in some pretty good rotations in the past already, and you already mentioned speaking with about some of the other veteran starters. How much are you looking forward to being able to, trade notes, ideas, and push each other with this particular veteran group?
Yeah, I think you mentioned right there is pushing each other. You get the most out of everyone on your team when you can challenge each other, and just for what we did in Milwaukee is we always tried to one up each other. When I had myself, Woodruff, and Peralta. So when I look at the three that we have, myself, Gallen, and Kelly, or Rodriguez, or whoever it is, you create that internal competition of constantly wanting to one up each other. So when you do that, and all of a sudden you look and you're in August and you've got a lead in the National League West, that you're sitting there going, hey, what we blinked and we're in first place. So it's just one of those things that creating that internal competition. Not only in the pitching group, but the position player group, just constantly pushing one another. It gets the most out of every player, and it gives you the best chance to win a lot of baseball games. And obviously bonding and creating that brotherhood is also huge in far as a long season and making a postseason run. But just having that internal competition, those guys to bounce ideas off of. Personally, I'm still learning in this game. I still have a lot to learn as a pitcher, and I'm excited to get into this group of guys that are some young guys, but also some veteran guys that I can, pull some tips from and continue to improve my game as well.
Hi, Corbin. Doug Haller with The Athletic right here. You had such a great year in 2021, and sometimes that can become a player's standard. You've navigated that pretty well. How have you done that, and just what does success look like for you at this point in your career?
Yeah, my goal each and every year is to stay healthy. I've told everyone that my value is on the field. So if I can take care of my body off the field, take care of my mind off the field, to be the best prepared I can and having the most recovered that I can between each start, I know that I can go out there and make 30-plus starts every year and give the team the best chance to win. So for me, coming off 21, my goal was never to try to replicate 21 in a Cy Young. If you're pushing for that every year, you're going to put yourself in bad spots and beat yourself up when you have tough stretches. So for me, once I got through that season, I knew I was going to be an established big leaguer, and it was all about the health. I knew the pieces were there. I knew the stuff was there. I just needed to continue to take care of what I could, and for me, that was the effort and attitude is what you hear kind of growing up, and for me, continuing to work hard in the weight room, in spring training, in the off season, to do what I can to put myself in the best position on the mound to stay healthy and have a competitive season, has just allowed me to get to this point.
Corbin, Nick King from 3TV CBS 5. You might have just answered this toward the end there. I was wondering when you started to view yourself as kind of a bona fide number one guy, and what gave you that confidence?
I personally still don't view myself as that. For me, I'm a guy part of 13 pitchers on a staff, trying to win baseball games. I'll take the brunt of the number one and go on and face the best guys in the game. But for me, I'm going to go out there and do what I can to be a part of that group and win baseball games. That's what I've done every year, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. If guys have questions, they want to come up and want answers, I can help with that. But for me, I'm going out there just doing what I can to win baseball games and get to the postseason. I've been fortunate in my 7 years in the big leagues to be in the postseason, 6 of them. So for me, postseason baseball is kind of what I know and want to be a part of every year.
Ken, when did doing a deal of this magnitude really seem like something?
I'm sorry, Dave?
Doing a deal of this magnitude, did you go into the offseason thinking this was a possibility, or like when did you really start to consider this kind of?
Well, to be totally fair to the subject matter, we weren't anticipating this happening. We learned there was some interest from Corbin and his representatives, and that inspired us. And we began to talk and realized there was probably a model that we could make work, and we moved pretty aggressively through several days of discussion to get to the goal line. But when the off season started, it was not a part of the business model. They helped it be a part of the business model by reaching out.
And then when you think back to the time when you had Greinke, and how much of a percentage of your payroll he was taking up, and it seemed like it was a bit hard to plug other holes on your roster. Is this different this time with as much as you're spending, and do you feel like you can stay in this range over the next 6 years?
Well, the economics on the growth side are roughly the same, because you can look back at the agreements are both public documents, but our circumstances are some different. The good fortune for us is the team in the last couple of years has performed well. Our fans have come out, supported us. Our revenues have increased, and we're anticipating them continuing to increase. So we're the percentage of our total that one player is, it's a lower percentage of the total, and we're in a better position to invest today than we were. And as we've tried to say, when we have the money, we will invest. That's what we're doing.
Hey, Corbin. Alex Weiner with Arizona Sports. Nice to meet you. I want to ask you about making adjustments and adapting. Last year, what did you think worked for you when you joined a new organization and you were able to get off to a good start?
Yeah, sorry. Say that again.
Oh, sorry. I just want to ask you about adapting. Last year, joining a new organization, what do you feel like worked for you as far as kind of getting yourself into it as quickly as you could?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was a testament to kind of the group that I was a part of last year. They from day one accepted me and just kind of took me in as who I was and wanted to learn from me as much as they could, and I wanted to learn from them as much as I could. So, when going into this clubhouse, I've met a lot of the guys, know a lot of the guys, so it should be a pretty easy transition. But when you all have the common goal in there of winning baseball games and winning World Series, it makes it pretty easy to be a part of a group. So this group, having been in the World Series a couple years ago, obviously they got a taste of it, and so I think that the main goal coming into spring training is always going to be to win a World Series, and when you've been that close to it, you want whatever you can to get back there.
Do a couple more questions, Craig.
Yeah, Corbin, Craig Fouye, ABC 15. We know how it ended up, but what was free agency like for you this year, being your first one, emotionally, mentally, with the family living here? What was that like?
Pretty stressful. Yeah, I mean, obviously having good representation, taking me through it, and kind of knowing what it was going to be like. Obviously, Scott's done this a lot, and was able to kind of walk us through it early on, just kind of what this process was going to be like, and it helped a little bit, but it's still pretty stressful. So we were happy when it came together and we got it done with.
Corbin, Cameron Cox, 12 News. You kind of already answered this, but what is your relationship like with some of the guys in the clubhouse? How well do you know them? What's it like to hear Zach's reaction to you signing here, and then what's it like to play with a player like Corbin Carroll?
Yeah, so I don't know if I've actually played with anyone in my time in the big leagues, but obviously being in the NL, playing the Diamondbacks twice a year, you get to know a lot of the guys pretty well. Zach reached out right away, when the deal was done, and I probably know Zach the most of anyone on the team. So it'll be fun to share a rotation with him and just a lot of other guys on the team. But to your point about Carroll, exciting young player. He's had a little bit of a down year last year, but I think he's one of the most exciting players in the game when he's on the field and performing the way he can. So him, along with obviously Marte, a lot of young guys that have been up the last couple of years. Like I said, it's a solid group. It's a really good group with some more young guys on the way, and pair that with a couple of good veterans out there to help lead these guys. And obviously, it was a World Series caliber team a couple of years ago, and probably should have been in the postseason last year without the tiebreaker. But that's the goal: get back to the postseason every year.
Thanks for the time again, guys. One of the things that strikes me as impressive about this deal is the timing of the deal. It seems to me that in past years, superstar players kind of get pushed back. Can you guys talk to me about the importance of him getting in now, before spring training, before pitchers and catchers?
I'll let you touch that one, Scott.
I think when you look at anything that happens in free agency, obviously if it can form into the normal culture of what we traditionally do, by getting everyone in if you can. I know we do. We have a sports fitness institute. We have players that train as they should train, and sometimes if there are late signings, they're physically capable of doing. But one of the other parts of it is the mental part about being with your teammates, being acclimated, being around the society, if you will, of a club as you begin the team. But our system obviously has perfections about it and imperfections. And one of the things that we know is that sometimes as you develop and format a team, you will respond to things that happen during the course of a free agency, and you would do something in February you may not have done in November, and vice versa. So I'm not sure there's a perfect aspect to it, but I do know that when you're a major player, and particularly when you have a young family, I mean, Corbin had to pitch and then fly all night and called me at 2:30 in the morning saying the jet I had dysfunction and Brooke was delivering at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he is in Colorado Springs. So he's had some very trying moments and made it there on time, I might add. But it's been for the Burnes family, it's been quite a 6 months, and that's why I think the reason for these decisions, and appreciate the Diamondback organization and Ken and Derek and everyone involved, they really understood this family's needs, and we were able to put something together in a very short period of time to accommodate everyone.
We'll end here with Barry.
Hey, Ken, Barry Bloom from Sportico. How are you? Scott, I have a follow-up after this. Ken, you talked about a financial, I might be misquoting you, but a financial box that you were able to put in this. How did you fit this into the Diamondbacks financial plan, for this year?
He used a phrase that I don't recall I have ever used. Did you say box?
Well, I said I might be misquoting you, but you said you had a model that you could fit it into.
Look,
So what exactly is the model?
Let me see if I can answer. I might be not being responsive, but we always reinvested every dollar that comes in. Our owner group is not focused on putting money in our pockets, and we never have, and as long as I'm around, we never will. So it's all built, our model is built around the revenue streams that we can create through performing well and inspiring fans to come and support us, and inspiring sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. And as those monies increase, we're going to reinvest. And if that's not answering your question, that is the model, though.
No,
it's not a complicated one.
No, it doesn't.
It's complicated in the goal, in the challenge of creating the revenue. That's complicated.
Right.
You have to perform. Our fans in this community support winning teams. They don't necessarily operate here like maybe the Chicago Cubs fans. No disrespect to them, but they support their team no matter what. I think in Arizona they expect us. We have a history of having winners. This franchise has done well in the context of over the time that we have been in baseball. We've performed well. We've had our other bad moments, but we are going to continue to try to build revenue and reinvest that in the quality that we put on the field.
And you've had success doing that in the last few seasons.
I beg your pardon?
You've had some success doing that the last few seasons.
Well, I hope it will continue.
And Scott, you and I have talked about this a lot. Does this show that any team in Major League Baseball can find a way to add a pitcher or a player of this kind of magnitude?
I think that modernly that talent is something that, particularly talent at this level, is always something that is an asset of a franchise. And you always want to do great things. You also want to do things in your business judgment that you think would positively improve the franchise value and the performance of the team. So maybe a very biased answer to your question is, of course.
All right. With that, we'll close today's press conference. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for your time, guys. Have a great day, everyone.